This year's matchup is going to be a good bit different than last year's. While both teams are pretty similar on defense, both teams are very different on the offensive side of the ball. Penn State has a revamped wide receiver core and tight ends unit, and we have Drew Allar throwing to them. A quick look at the weather, and it does seem that this year's matchup will have some good weather at Ryan Field, and that will allow Penn State to fully use our passing attack. For Northwestern, everything revolves around their new quarterback as well, Ben Bryant. They lost their 1,000-yard running back Evan Hull, but they replaced him with Cam Porter, who has been solid so far. Northwestern lost their 3 top receivers from last year, similar to Penn State, and they've had their own Keandre Lambert-Smith step up and take over the number 1 receiver spot, and that is Bryce Kurtz, who has been fantastic for the Wildcats so far. He has 17 catches for 274 yards, which is 16.1 yards per catch, along with 2 touchdowns. Those are basically the same numbers as Keandre Lambert-Smith has so far this season. And then Northwestern also picked up a nice wide receiver transfer, A.J. Henning from Michigan. I'm sure a lot of you Penn State fans remember him playing there. But I have to get back to Ben Bryant. Bryant transferred in from Cincinnati, where he was solid, starting 11 games for them last season before injuring his foot against Temple. Before he was at Cincinnati, he was one of the best QBs in the country at Eastern Michigan in 2021. And here at Northwestern, he's getting his first taste of Power 5 football, and he's been great so far. He's thrown 81 of 136 for 60%, for 804 yards and 6 TDs with 3 INTs. Compare those with Drew Allar's numbers, 84 of 125 for 67%, for 903 yards and 8 TDs with no interceptions. The main difference between these two quarterbacks on paper is that Bryant has taken 10 sacks and Allar has only taken 2, and then obviously the interceptions. But honestly, you can probably attribute most of all of that to the Northwestern offensive line, which is a lot weaker this year than it has in years past. And watching his film, Bryant is an experienced quarterback that has the talent to make some really tough throws, and his leadership is evident with his incredible comeback against Minnesota last week, and even just the fact that he has led his team through all of the off-field issues Northwestern has had earlier this year. I know the Wildcats offense isn't going to impress anybody this weekend, especially against a red-hot PSU defense, but I still think that they put a couple of points on the board and avoid the shutout. Penn State is the road team, and simply the quarterback position alone makes me think that Northwestern has a better chance of scoring than Iowa did last weekend, even though they are still 100th in the country in total offense. Here's my prediction. Penn State 38-3 Northwestern, a 35-point victory. I think we're favored by 25, so I'm taking 10 points over that. Another nice win for Penn State. Keep rolling and gain some momentum going into the big game against Ohio State.